Yo, we're talking Eric Adams getting investigated. Campaign is a little sketchy. We're looking into it. We're talking the MCU, Marvel, Disney kind of having a really great idea in presenting certain kinds of content. I mean, this is a really great idea. And we're talking a really interesting, or I should say, it's finally been proven that talking to people via FaceTime and Zoom, etc., is not the same as face-to-face. Stay tuned. It's a Social Millennial podcast. We out here, gang. Y'all already know what it is. For y'all who don't know what it is, this is the Social Millennial podcast, a kind of general podcast. I talk about things that interest me that have happened during this week. Sometimes it's science, sometimes it's government and politics, sometimes it's mixed martial arts because I really like combat sports, and sometimes I mix in some of my own personal anecdotes and what I'm going through during the week. Thank y'all for spending this time with us. Thank y'all for being here. If y'all are returning, welcome back. Thanks for coming after the previous episode. And if you're new here, we are absolutely on YouTube. If you're listening, if you are watching, what's up, y'all? We have an audio component to this podcast. So absolutely go and subscribe to the audio component, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. The podcast is available on all those platforms. And if y'all are a little old school, you feel me? Y'all do not want to kind of deal with any of the apps. In the description of this video, in the description of all of the audio offerings on the apps, there is a homepage that you can go to that is a landing page that will give you access to all of the episodes as they come out. 100%. They're all there. They're all cataloged there. You can scroll down. You could find the older episodes. You can listen to the newest episodes, and there's still links there to all the other socials, etc., for the podcast. But yeah, if you don't want to use any of the apps, if you don't want to use any of the newfangled Spotifys and Apples out there, you could absolutely just go old school, go to the website on your browser and be able to listen to the podcast. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. We're not on X, formerly Twitter. We are on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Social Millennial Pod. That's SocialMillenialpod. Do not have them try to make you spell it different. That is how we're spelling it. That is what it is. It is what it is. We ain't correcting it. I thought we were at one point, but we ain't gonna do that. So once again, thank you all for pulling up. We appreciate it. We appreciate you spending the time, even if it's just a few seconds of a view. It counts. Thank you so much. If you end up staying with us halfway through, thank you so much. That counts. If you end up staying all the way through to the end, thank y'all so much. That all the way counts. You feel me? If you want to support this podcast, support these episodes, support what we're trying to do here in building this platform, please like, subscribe, follow, give star reviews, review, give a rating, hit the notifications. Comment on this episode, comment on previous episodes that y'all feel, whether or not y'all agree with what we're talking about or whether you disagree. Let us know. If you like the podcast, let us know. Give us a thumbs up. You can click a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. And if it's trash, you could give us a thumbs down. We want to hear it too. But if you want to support us for free, this free content, absolutely just hit that like. Interact with us in some way, shape, or form. It's greatly appreciated. It greatly helps us out. If y'all want to contribute to this project, to this podcast, to this platform in a greater way, you can absolutely head over to our merch shop. The link will be in the description of this video, of this audio, on all platforms. There is a link down there for the merch shop. We're going to be having a bunch of sales come November and Black Friday, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas coming up. Think 45% off. All right, y'all. We have t-shirts. We got t-shirts. We have mugs. We have travel cozies. We've got oil paintings. We've got hoodies. We've got stuff for little babies and toddlers, if you like. We've got phone cases, etc. You name it, it's there. Beans, grease, man, you know what I'm talking about. But if you feel so inclined to want to bless us over here, absolutely head on down there and grab grab you something. Grab you a little something. Maybe a mug. Maybe a pencil. You feel me? But thank y'all. So all in all, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for spending the time with us. And let's get to it. You feel me? So real nice and light, kind of real nice and light. We'll start. And also for those who are new, I know all of y'all old heads already know how this goes. But for those of y'all who are new on the audio, on the video, what's up, y'all? There are links to all of the stories, all of the topics that I'm going to be talking about in the description for the audio and for the video on all of the platforms, so that y'all could get the in-depth lowdown from the horse's mouth about what's going on. I'm going to kind of paraphrase these articles and these subjects as we go and just say what I think about it and just kind of remark about it. So yeah, back to it. Real nice and light. Real nice and light. Studies are starting to be done and have been done about the difference about what our brains do when we speak with each other face to face in person, as opposed to when we're speaking to each other through a TV screen or through some kind of screen, whether it's Zoom or FaceTime. I think for this research project, they used Zoom. And the results for this study are in, and there is a stark difference between what happens in our brain in these two scenarios. And absolutely. So the idea is that we've sort of transitioned into, not all the way, all work isn't mobile work, isn't at home work, but since the pandemic, we have transitioned into an era of kind of working from home. And a truly digital era in completing our work from wherever we are, from our laptops, from our computers, etc. Not necessarily having to go into the office to have to perform tasks that we could very well perform from our laptop. Similarly, we transitioned during the COVID times and lockdowns into digital schooling, where young students couldn't go into the schools because everything was locked down. So there were certain curriculums developed to be provided on Zoom and to be provided as an online component, the digital component, so that students would not fall behind. Now, there has been pushback from, I don't know, I guess corporate America, but pushback on that idea of wanting to really not kind of be in the office for very long. And I kind of second that. I don't really think it makes sense if your job is workable, or the tasks that you have to complete are workable from any environment, if adaptation, or if not concessions, but if you can make that work and it's workable, I feel that all in all, on the net, that works out essentially better for the business and better for the worker, better for the employee, in that the employee can be able to put themselves in an environment that is maybe not as stressful or not as pressing on them, allowing them the ease of being able to do their work in a comfortable environment, which hopefully boosts efficiency, which I would think boosts efficiency. Of course, it's a spectrum across the board. There are definitely people out here that if you give them comfort, they're chilling. Feet are up, work is not getting done. But I feel on the net that net positive, shout out to I'm forgetting the comedian. Oh my gosh, John Christ. Net positive podcast is fire. It's great. On the net, it's a positive in that more people can kind of excuse me. Let me order my thoughts here. As humans living in this reality, suffering from the human condition of wanting to be able to enjoy our lives, desiring to squeeze out of our lives the most enjoyment, the most fulfillment that we can get from it, it only makes sense to me that making it that we don't necessarily have to be in an office cooped up away from the people that we love, away from life and the world happening around us, that if we don't have to be away from that we should not be away from that. Whether that translates into many jobs turning into or having the option of working from home, or that translates into shorter work days, shorter work days or less work days out of the week, I feel like that's just a net positive. But there's pushback. Corporate America doesn't want that. They are not cool with that. They want people to come back into the offices, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a little bit of indication here with this research study, because it does show, at least for this study, that our centers in our brains that fire off when we interact with our world, especially when we interact with humans, with other human beings, they fire off at their fullest capacity. That those centers are used to their fullest capacity and are the most stimulated when it is that we're speaking to someone who is in front of us, who is tangible, or at least whom we perceive as tangible in front of us, real, whom we perceive as a real person. And when it is that we speak to someone through a screen, i.e. Zoom, or i.e. FaceTime, i.e. Google Duo, i.e. WhatsApp, video calling, etc., those centers that are supposed to fire off, or that would usually fire off and be the most stimulated during a normal conversation with a person in front of us, they do not fire off and it's not just they don't fire off in the same way. They really, like, if this is human interaction, this is screen interaction. What's happening, or at least what the theory is that our brains are not perceiving the person on the screen to be a real entity, to be something tangible, to be it's not, our brains are having trouble recognizing that the person talking to us on the screen is a person that exists somewhere else talking to us through a screen. So they technically are a tangible person, but just not corporeally in front of us. Our primal brain, I guess, our brains are not set up for that. They're not wired for screen talking to understand that if I talk to a flat screen that has colors and images and pictures, and the pictures are moving, that's the same as a human person. So very, very interesting. Some vindication for corporate America, who kind of want, and business, who kind of wants to be face to face. Face to face is still king. The face to face meeting, the tangibleness, the salve, the sort of ether of it all, in that I can perceive your tones of voice. I can take in the finer cues that you're giving me through your facial expressions and your body movements in reality, or when we're in each other's presence, in a way that I cannot do so, or in a way that is definitely hampered through Zoom and through FaceTime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So very interesting that we get that vindication. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it kind of feels like this is just something that everybody kind of knew any old way, because it's not the same talking to somebody on Zoom and then talking to them in real life. Like, you don't quite get the highs and the lows in emotions. You don't quite get the interplay in the same kind of way as if someone was in front of you, if they were on a screen. So we kind of anecdotally knew this, and business and corporate, etc., kind of wanted to just tell us that this is true anecdotally, and we are kind of like, man, forget you. We'll just be on the Zoom meeting. We'll be on the voice call, on the voice conference, and that's good enough. But this new research study is showing that that may not actually be enough. So it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And it causes me to wonder about our technologies and the development of our technologies going forward, how they will advance and how those advancements are going to affect us. Because remember, all of these bursts in technology, right, especially having to do with human interaction. So think social media, think the internet, think talking on screens, think texting, think voice noting, and I say voice calling, but think voice notes, etc. Our brains were not like they're not equipped really to process these things. I want to say built, but I ascribe to a certain ilk, to a certain side and theory about that. But I'll use the term we're just it's not in us. We don't come out of the box with the capability of processing the world through the lens of technology. through the veneer, through the sterility of technology. And it's that sterility, I guess, for lack of a better term, it's that sterility, that disconnect that is present all the way down into our primal brain functions. So it's very interesting. So it's like maybe theoretically, the more that we turn to screens for our communication, and the less that we, or should we, ascribe to, or should we continue to push forward with our social, should we continue to not push forward with our social interactions and decide to retreat and use our technology as our proxy for interaction, as our means, as our go-between, the more that we do that, it may become, or is already becoming, that humans are less connected to reality, or I should say, are less connected to the lived reality that we share. Because if my primal brain is telling me, yeah, I'm talking to my mom, who's a world, or I am physically practicing or physically doing the act of speaking to my mother on FaceTime, on my screen, in a video call, who is, 900 miles away, 1,000 miles away, and that's the only way that I talk to her, my brain doesn't readily connect. Doesn't connect in the same way as it would if I was speaking to her in person. So it's sort of, and now that I'm kind of thinking about it, it's sort of like you're speaking to the people or your friend or so on that you've known for so many years, but it's like you're speaking to them, but your brain is not registering that you're interacting with them. So a sense of disconnectedness will easily sneak up on you, where it's like, man, my friend is going through XYZ thing, but I haven't been in their presence for 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. We're now a little long distance, and they're going through whatever they're going through. And I talk to them all the time, but for some reason, like, it doesn't hurt me. Like, it doesn't break my heart at all, even though they're my best friend, even though I speak to them often. It's very interesting. It's that it's offering us this sort of false semblance of a connection. It's offering us connection in the most superficial sense, where our brains can tell the difference between what's real and, or I should say, can tell the difference between what's being perceived in the reality of our five senses, in a tangible way, rather than what is kind of being perceived in an esoteric, sterile way, for lack of a better term, an abstract and sterile way. Our brains can tell the difference in our subconscious, in our processing centers, but we will feel because we're practicing the communication, we're doing the communication practically, that, hey, but I talk to my friend, I interact with my friend, and behind the scenes, back in the clockwork, that central processing unit is like, we're not really connected to this person because we don't ever really talk to them. Very, very interesting. And so part of the conclusions in terms of this research study, part of the suggestions here, the leaning or the perspective is like, well, how do we make it, talk about the furthering of technology? It is clear that the representation of a person that we have at this moment through Zoom, through Google Duo, through whatever video calling, it is not adequate enough to get our brain, our processing centers for interaction, to fire off as if it's a real person. And what will we have to do? So what will we have to do to technology to get that video image to be perceived as something tangible and real to our interaction processing centers, so that there can be a parity between personal interaction, in-person interaction, and not in-person interaction? How can we get the brain to perceive both as the same thing? Very, very interesting. Very, very wild. Because imagine, right? Imagine. Because then we're thinking like AI, Think about how AI fits into that. Think about it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And I mean, it kind of makes sense because often with entertainment, for us, often, not everyone, again, these are spectrums. There's many different ways to think about this and many different levels of connection that people have to their figures in entertainment. But that's how it's kind of easy for some people to treat celebrities the way that they treat them, like they're not real people. Like whatever hate that any celebrity might receive. I feel, anyway, anecdotally, 9 times out of 10, you walk up to that person who is that troll or who feels super strongly about whatever the daily life of this celebrity is, and wants to, Twitter fingers it. Has strong Twitter fingers. If you were to pull up on them in real life, they don't say those things to people face to face. It's very interesting that they don't. But now there could be some credence to why it's possible for people to kind of, if you're an entertainment figure, you're real far away, people kind of only see you, or the most people see you kind of just through the veneer, through that sterility of the TV screen or their phone or YouTube, etc. How they can jump so quickly to just kind of treating you like a trash person, like you're not a real entity with feelings and with emotions. It's easy to not consider them or be considerate of them. Because we perceive them only through the TV screen and we don't know them as real people. Here is a credence, or here are studies that are now being conducted that are showing that there is a neurological basis for that. In how if we're not talking to the person or perceiving them as a real entity in front of us, our brain centers are not firing off to create those kinds of interpersonal connections to whom we're communicating with, to whom we're seeing. So we see human figures and we see human people on screens and through that lens, and we don't really connect. So it's not just about knowing someone, because before we thought, or at least anecdotally I thought in conversations past, well, maybe if I knew this person, maybe it's because I don't know this person personally, so it's easier for me to kind of discount them, discredit them, discard them, talk wild about them and not care how it affects them, because it's not going to affect them. But it's not just about knowing the person. It's a very, very basic primal processing center function, simply to perceive that person as a real person. 5 senses, tangible, in-person, real person, where I can have that very basic human connection with, just that basic, oh, you're a person, I'm a person too. You're a human, I'm a human too. And that's where the empathy starts. That's where the sympathy starts. That's where the understanding, that's where the mercy starts. That's where the grace wells from. You're a human just like me. That means you have feeling, you feel how I feel, not about a specific subject, but you feel in the way that I feel. We both have feelings. We both consider our world. We've both gone through traumas and have gone through a whole life, which brings us together, causes us to identify with each other. It's wild. It's wild. So as celebrities on TV, we only perceive these famous figures through the screen. So it's like you have to go out of your way and be a person who goes out of their way to really just be like, okay, all these people that I'm seeing are people, and they deserve grace, they deserve mercy, etc. But by default, our brains are not registering that these are real people, or that we're having real interactions when we're talking to the screen, which is wild. That we're getting this kind of this kind of data. What do y'all think about it? What do y'all think? Do you think we're kind of headed to hell in a handbasket with this technology? Do you think that it's kind of the wrong perspective to take, or the wrong takeaway from this kind of a research study, where the real questions are like, how can we get technology to trick our brains into thinking that what we're seeing is a person in person so that it can fire off in the same way and create the same connection? You think that's kind of like the wrong perspective to have, the wrong takeaway to have? Let me know. What do y'all favor? Do y'all think it's fine? Y'all think y'all kind of don't really care whether it's Zoom or whatever, or FaceTime, or if it's in person, or does it matter? Doesn't matter. Is in person king to y'all? Let us know. So, Eric Adams. Now I'm saying Eric Adams is under investigation, but not directly. Not directly, and not directly yet. Yet. Huge yet. First of all, Eric Adams is trash. I'm sorry. Y'all want to agree with me or y'all want to disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. Disagree with me. We could talk about it. We could debate this. Eric Adams is trash. And if y'all agree, let me know. Put Eric Adams is trash. Hashtag EA trash. You feel me? Put that in the comments. But really we're getting to a place now. This is we're talking about alleged things here. I'm not there are investigations going on. There are investigations that haven't started yet, that have been pledged to start. But right now, currently, what's happening is Eric Adams is let me see, what do you call it? Eric Adams is one of his higher ranking people in his campaign, a fundraiser. I'm forgetting the name of the firm. Wilmer Hain, I think. 25-year-old fundraiser that works for the Eric Adams campaign, worked for him during the past election, is continuing because he's still with the same company for his campaigns. Is under investigation for ties to the Turkish government and Turkish nationals. And under investigation by the FBI. When I mean under investigation, I mean FBI raid. That happened. An FBI raid. Now, this FBI raid was such and so that Eric Adams had a scheduled meet and greet down on Washington, D.C. to try to petition the federal government for federal aid because of the migrant crisis. Yeah, okay. Basically, federal aid so I can line my pockets and make some of this money disappear so I could be good and I don't have to run for re-election again. Allegedly. But so much so that he bounced. He went to DC or was going to DC for that, turned back around and came back after he got wind that there was an FBI investigation. And he got wind of it. Someone was telling him that they were coming to raid this girl's place and the company on behalf of this person. I believe it's a woman. He came back. And so he was like, oh, we think about the human element and so on. I've dealt with this person from when they were an intern and they were 17 years old, and now they're a fundraiser and they're higher in the company and the campaign workings and so on. But then he was like, he didn't reach out and call the person because he didn't want to be perceived as interfering with the federal investigation. Now, I don't know about none of y'all. Maybe some of y'all know. For those of y'all who are in the know, I don't know why the mic moved like that. That was wild. Who are in the know, nigga. When the feds show up with the white binder to raid your, I was about to curse, to raid your joint, it's over. You already know it's done. Y'all already know it's a wrap. Is locked. When they pull up with the white binder to raid, it's basically a foregone conclusion because at that point you had been under surveillance for a minute. At that point, the subpoenas had already existed to be able to tap your phones, to be able to jump in and see what they could find, because they need to get evidence to be able to get that order, that raid happening legally. You feel me? I mean, now this is if everything's above board and that's what's happening. They pull up with that white binder, you're done. You're cooked. You've been cooked. You're done. Like this is just, we're coming here now just to document everything, just to put names to evidence. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, 1C.F7 of lot number 28, to submit into the case. You feel me? The case already exists. They already built the case against you for Lord knows how long. And now they had gotten enough evidence or enough plausibility. What is the word I'm looking for? Probable cause. There we go. Enough probable cause to get that subpoena, to get that legal jurisdiction to just raid, to pull up deep. The FBI jackets was pulling up. So we are going to see how this develops. Ties to Turkish government and Turkish nationals. And on top of this, the courts, I forget what judge, I believe it was a judge or whatever, they had already pledged to investigate. There were like 6 allegations already of Eric Adams campaign taking covert donations in exchange for political power and political influence. Already 6 allegations that the courts are saying they're going to be investigating. So that's already waiting in the wings. So Lord knows what they found with this raid. I know with this woman, we're going to see what happens there. But in this kind of discovery, this kind of raiding, they're going to find all kinds of stuff, and we're going to see what comes out and what doesn't come out. We're going to see if Eric Adams gets cooked or if he doesn't get cooked. It seems like he's already cooked. Just his not his political career as a whole. That's not what I mean to say at this moment, but his tenure as a mayor is trash, is cooked, is well done, is burnt. They don't burnt the turkey. You feel me? So this is wild. This is on another level. And again, for those of y'all, let's give y'all the reminder. Go to the description. We've got the links to all these stories so that y'all can get the lowdown and get the super, super detailed deets on what's going on with everything that I'm talking about here. Names, dates, etc. Y'all will find it down in the articles in the description. That's of the audio and of the video. Let me know what y'all think about this. Do y'all think Eric Adams is trash, or y'all think he's kind of fine, he just got dealt a rough hand with the immigration stuff, or do y'all think that this nigga's trash, him and Hostel's trash, and they both got to get up out of here? You feel me? Let us know in the comments. So last but not least, story that I'm gonna cover has to do with the MCU, and just on a side note, the Marvels. Disney, remember I told you I really want to see this movie. I was excited for this movie. I still do want to see it. I still want to see, even if it is a train wreck, I want to see the level of train wreck that it is. Disney put a review embargo to like 2 days before the release date, which often denotes problems with the film. Not all the time, but often denotes problems with the film where the studio does not want people to know whether the film is trash or whether the film is a pass too early, because they need people to go watch it because they don't want to lose all of their money because the movie's trash. You feel me? Now, it's not like that all the time. Sometimes they do a review embargo because they want people to come in as clean and as open-minded as possible because the movie itself demands that you be open-minded about it. That's a thing. But when you have all the other mitigating circumstances where the Marvels was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2 solo film, then evolved into these other 2 characters, then all the problems that they had when they were filming it, just the production hell that it was, then all the problems that Brie Larson allegedly had with the film, with the script, with her not being sort of the titular character, it not being a Captain Marvel's 2, and her having to now be in an ensemble film for her sequel, when she was sold this idea that Captain Marvel was going to be like the next Iron Man, was going to be the next Captain America, that's the treatment that she was supposed to be getting, and she's not getting it, and now feeling disrespected because she's in her own movie that's supposed to be a sequel to the first movie, and now it's an ensemble cast. It's basically another Avengers, and she doesn't get to be the center of attention. Which kind of makes sense. I get it. I get her being upset if it is true. Because again, these were things that people were saying, insiders were saying. No one has like super corroborated. On top of that, then COVID happening. On top of that, executives seeing the cuts of the film that they had, what they had filmed, and saying, nah, you got to change this whole film around. We got to do massive reshoots on top of reshooting and reshooting and reshooting and cobbling together and Frankensteining together all these different reshoots, rewriting scripts, not having the script ready when the time comes. At least that's how it seems. And then cutting the runtime down and then pushing the film back, the release date back like twice. To then say that we're not going to let the reviewers come in, and when they come and watch the press, when they come and watch it early to do their reviews, we're not going to let them release any of their reviews until 2 days before because we don't want it to mess up our money. Not that they didn't say they didn't want us to mess up their money, but that for them to do that kind of review embargo with all of this other stuff surrounding this film it kind of really just looks like the film is going to be trash and the studio knows it's going to be trash, but still is deciding to release it knowing that it's going to be trash and just kind of doesn't want everybody to know that it's trash. So yeah, because there aren't very many reviews that are out even after the embargo has been lifted that I can find so far. But enough reviews from people that I find to be very, very credible, have very not demanding, have very sort of even tastes to be able to judge whether the films are great or are trash or are pass. They came out, and so I really want to see this film because it's looking very, very, very polarizing, and it's looking strangely polarizing. So you have a few reviewers from certain publications that I won't name. I actually might put one of those reviews down. I'm going to put a video review in the description for this story from my guy, Dan Murrel. Anybody who likes movies, anybody who likes movie reviews, anybody who likes tracking the charts of films and sort of the budgets and understanding the trends in the film industry, Dan Murrel is your guy. I'm going to be putting a link in the description to his Captain Marvel review, his spoiler-free review, because he can't do spoilers yet until after the movie comes out. And then I'm going to put a link to, I don't remember if it was The Verge, but I'm going to put a link to another review. But this will be an article to read. And you're going to see how like polarly opposite, like too far apart, that these reviews are. It almost as if they saw two different films. 100%. And I kind of think the person in the article or what have you, is being, it feels to me, it tastes the flavor of being paid to say this film was good or was better than what it actually is. There's a lot of when you start reading reviews that have very creative, flowery language in it, like a lot of word salad, then something is amiss. But I'll let y'all decide that. I'm going to put both of those in the description. Anyway, that was an aside. Marvel and Disney, I will forever say Marvel Disney because Disney owns Marvel and Disney has a bearing on what Marvel does, etc. Marvel Disney did a really interesting thing. So we talked about, in a past episode, we talked about how Blade was the production was basically restarted. They saw what they had in the pre-production and the script, and they said, this is going to be trash. Burn everything to the ground. We're starting from square one. Pre-production, everything. Script writing, everything. We're starting again. And I learned since then, and through the grapevine, that Mahershala Ali was having a lot of problems with the Blade movie because it seemed like, now, this is allegedly, this is word on the street, is that Blade wasn't even going to be the main character in his own movie. That Blade, from his first movie, was going to be passing the torch to like his daughter or his niece or something. And Mahershala Ali was not cool with that. And I don't think it was for any kind of, misogynistic thing. It's, you're making a Blade movie. Marvel's making a Blade movie for the first time as a studio with millions and millions and millions of dollars of budget post Wesley Snipes all these years. And you're going to make the first Blade movie be him passing the torch to somebody. We don't even get to live with the character Blade. Blade doesn't even get to have a hero's journey in the way that all these other characters do. So I can understand Mahershala Ali being This is not what I signed up for, my guy, when I signed on for this film. So yeah, they scrapped that whole thing. We talked about that. We talked about Daredevil, same kind of deal, just on the TV side. They saw what they had. The strike happened. They were kind of taking the time to woosah and sit down and see what they had already filmed, because they'd already filmed like 3 or 4 episodes of the new Daredevil. I think it was Born Again. And they said, this is not it. This ain't it, pal. This is trash. This is not, it doesn't capture Daredevil. And they were probably looking at it as, this doesn't capture the Netflix series and the coolness of the Netflix series. One remark was like, you didn't even see him in the suit till like the 3rd, 4th episode. You didn't even get like any big action till like the 4th episode. And the whole perspective on the Daredevil Born Again was for it to be like a procedural, like a legal procedural. And when they said that, it reminded me of She-Hulk, where She-Hulk was trash, because they were like, oh, a legal procedural. It was not a legal procedural. It just wasn't. But yeah, we talked about how the execs looked at it and looked at what they had and said, burn it to the ground. We're starting over again. We're going to get a traditional showrunner. And that's also when we got the news that they were changing around how they do their TV stuff. They're turning it into its own department with TV executives, with showrunners for all the shows, and going on the usual network, or what is the tried and true process of piloting projects before greenlighting projects, because they greenlit all these projects, wasted all this money. People did not like them. Bad quality control. No one was really on top of everything, manning everything, and it just, they shit the bed basically. They shit the bed. So we talked about that as a little recap. So Marvel Disney, because we have a show that's sort of been in limbo, but is now, I think it already has a release date. It had been in limbo. It had been in production hell, meaning a lot of wild stuff happened during this production to get this production not to happen, aside from COVID, to get this production to be a rough one, a difficult one. Aside from COVID, aside from rewrites, aside from reportedly the lead actress kind of gaining more weight than she was supposed to, because she needed to stay in shape to be the character, but it didn't happen, and I'm not quite sure the details of all of that. And then rewrites happened. So a lot. It went from like 8 to 10 episodes down to like 4 to 6 or whatever, edited down. And so a lot of people thought that Echo's the show, that Echo wasn't even going to be released, because like they spent all this money on this character that nobody really knows about, that was also just a kind of a side character in Hawkeye. And it's like, was there enough interest in Echo as a character in terms of testing well with audiences or whatever, focus grouping well from the Hawkeye series? There are plenty of people who did not watch the Hawkeye series, who don't even know who Kate Bishop is, and Hawkeye came out years ago. So we thought this might not see the light of day. It might become that. But here we go. Marvel had a great idea. And they evoked a title and a style of banner that had been a banner of comics known as Marvel Spotlight, where they would kind of just throw out one-off heroes and one-off stories where you didn't have to know all of the backstory of the hero. You didn't have to have all the world building. You were kind of just thrown in and not having to care about what the connectedness was to the rest of the Marvel universe. It was just a one-off story. They took that idea, took that banner, and they're now going to use that for their live action. And I think it's genius. It's genius, because they needed a way, and this is from way back in the Netflix era heroes, the way back with the Defenders heroes. So think Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Daredevil, where it was always this interesting debate or this interesting thing watching those series is because they would reference the MCU like they're part of the MCU, but not really. It was a very, very soft references. And of course, there were different cinematography, different color grading, just a completely different entity, essentially, to the MCU. Even though we were supposed to kind of understand that the Defenders series took place in the same universe. They're just ground level heroes. but softly, so they're not so beholden to what's happening in the MCU in terms of the things that are happening that affect the entire world. So I say it's a problem from then, or they addressed a problem that was from way back then, because it's like, is the Defenders' shows a pocket thing? We don't, of all of the Marvel properties at that point, because at that point we only had Marvel films, these TV series didn't feel like they're all the way connected in. And so to their credit though, because it allowed Jessica Jones to be fire and for them to be able to do things that the movies can't do. It allowed them to do stuff with Daredevil that the films could not do. The grittiness, the violence, the more mature themes. It gave the Defender series on Netflix, allowed them that birth to be able to really dive into the characters and really depict comic accurate things, comic accurate storylines. Because Jessica Jones is not a patty cake hero. Daredevil is not Spider-Man. Daredevil comics get very raw. So they were able to get close to that rawness, depict blood, depict gore, depict savagery, depict violence, hyper violence. People died, people's arms broken, blood on their face and suits and things like that. So they addressed this by creating Marvel Spotlight. So Echo is going to be released under the Marvel Spotlight banner. So it will drop on Disney Plus, probably with an age restriction, and it will drop on Hulu. Now I say probably with an age restriction because I saw the trailer and it looks like they're going for that Netflix, gritty, violent aesthetic. Kingpin is playing a more central role in the story than was in the original script, which I think might be a cool thing. The trailer makes Echo look cool. I kind of want to watch this show. It looks very interesting and intriguing as a ground level show taking place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very interesting. But they put it under Spotlight. So I'm thinking it's going to be Disney Plus under age restriction because of how violent it is. But then also it will go on Hulu. So we can get a lot of people to be able to watch it, because Disney needs a lot of people to watch this because they spent money and this thing was in production hell and they want to kind of just throw it out there. So I get it. But you set up a Marvel Spotlight banner and now you could put Deadpool 3 under Marvel Spotlight and put it on Disney Plus under age restriction. Now you could do Daredevil. Now you could do the ground level Defenders heroes, ground level heroes under Marvel Spotlight and not feel too pressured in having to do all of the homework over in the regular Disney Plus shows and all of the homework with all of the films to be able to just understand this one thing. Because what they're going to do with Marvel Spotlight is similar to the comic run. These are the ground level heroes. They're going to live here. And these are their self-contained stories. Maybe they'll overlap a little bit with certain things that happen in the MCU, but not very much. The goal is to not have to do a whole lot of homework and it be self-contained. You're seeing the beginning and the ending of these heroes here. Should they cross over into other properties from there, different story. But their stories don't necessarily have to be shackled to the overarching huge storytelling that's happening with the films. And I think this was a genius move, one, to be able to save their ass with Echo, hopefully with the shareholders and with the investors, but also lays the groundwork for when Daredevil comes out, for Blade, etc. We can put the rated R things here. Pretty cool. What do y'all think about that? I think it's a pretty genius idea. They should have did it a long time ago, because then we would have got a lot of other cooler things happening sooner. Punisher would have been in production sooner. Daredevil would have gone in production sooner, because if this problem had been solved then, I mean, come on, people want to see Daredevil. We didn't like that the Netflix Daredevil series was done. We wanted more. And that was like 3-4 seasons, something like that. And I still wanted more. That joint was fire. It was fire. Iron Fist was It got kind of okay later on, but it was trash. Luke Cage was fire. I wanted that. Bushman, I wanted all of that. It was heat. And Jessica Jones was heat. That first season was heat. So they're gonna put them there. So what do y'all think? Do y'all want all of those shows to come back again? Maybe them redo Iron Fist. They probably won't. I feel like they're not going to touch Iron Fist with an iron pole, with a 10-foot iron pole. But there could be a really cool thing where they could do Iron Fist and tie it in with Shang-Chi, and it'll be a cool kind of thing. But what do y'all think about it? Are you guys hyped for Echo? Do you guys want to see Echo? I think I'm going to put Echo, the trailer for Echo, in the description as well, so y'all can see what that's about. And let me know what y'all think based off of that trailer. You feel me? It's a super Native American kind of a deal. It looks really interesting. Let me know if y'all think that it looks interesting. With the Kingpin in it, I mean, I see the Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, he did a great job in Netflix Daredevil. If y'all have not seen Daredevil Netflix, please go see that film. It is fire. I mean, flames. I mean, there is no way around it. Y'all want to argue with me? Feel free to argue with me. You're going to lose. That show was fire. Vincent D'Onofrio killed as the Kingpin. This dude, I forget his name, that plays Matt Murdock, killed in this show. And he's hyped to come back. I think when they showed him in She-Hulk, it was a little trash. That characterization was absolute trash. So if any of y'all did not see the Netflix series but saw this dude play Matt Murdock on She-Hulk, that's not our Matt Murdock. Go watch the Netflix series. But let me know what y'all think. All right. Thank y'all for spending this time with me. I know I didn't get too much into sort of the psychology, personality things or things that I'm going through this week emotionally, but I'm good. I'm working on a Christmas project, trying to get that out. Working on a few other things for stage. Working on some more songs. I'm trying to put together a project for the spring/summer, and an actual album, not just singles, because I've been dropping singles. I've been kind of committing myself to dropping singles every certain amount of fiscal quarters, and I've been on it. And I'm kind of, happy about it, patting myself on the back for that kind of discipline, because I'm that kind of creative person that it when it happens like a huge waterfall. I'll go a while without creating too much, and it'll like build up, and I'll be pent up, and then it'll just burst forth. A dam will just break, and it'll be all this creativity, and then it'll be done. So I'm trying to discipline myself in giving myself that kind of space to just create and be okay. And I think I talked about that in a previous episode, but I'm good, y'all. I'm making it through, surviving. Can't complain. I'm still here doing this podcast, doing this episode, spending this time with y'all. Thank y'all for spending this time with me, with us, with this platform. Please like, subscribe, share, let other people know that this podcast is here. Again, we're just chilling. We're just chilling out. It's vibes, dog. If y'all want to come vibe, keep coming back. If y'all don't like it, don't come back. But let us know that y'all don't like it, because I would love to know what y'all don't like about it, so that maybe we could offer some more things to some more people. You feel me? Maybe we can attenuate the vibes meter to be where it needs to be at. You feel me? We have a Patreon coming. Stuff is getting set up. I'm telling y'all, Patreon coming. I'm gonna be doing reviews, movie reviews on the Patreon. I'm gonna be doing concentrated videos on subjects. So like my thoughts on, say, for example, Israel-Palestine, and just do a whole video on Israel-Palestine. I'm doing all kinds of stuff like that. I might be getting my language, might be getting a little bit more loose over there, but definitely setting up for more content, greater content for the platform, and more opportunities for us to kick it. Right now, this podcast is free, and it will continue to be free. When that podcast pulls up, we're going to have bonus episodes that you're going to have to hit the paywall to be able to access. But we're going to have extra episodes of the podcast that y'all will be able to enjoy. Great things are coming. I'm just saying, we're doing some things. All right, y'all. Absolutely go and listen to my songs. My name is Marcus Pena. This is Marcus Pena Presents, the Social Millennial Podcast. I've got a single out there, The Power of Love, Revive a Soul. My personal ode to New York City, my city. We're here in New York, boogie down. You feel me? 27 Rings. Definitely go check those out. The New York City song. Marcus Pena. Go follow me, Spotify, everywhere else. I got stuff going on, man. I'm creating up, down, left, and right. And it's just, for the world. You feel me? It's not necessarily to create, to kind of get somewhere. I'm just kind of getting to express myself. You feel me? So if y'all like that, support it. Like, subscribe, do all of the things. Comment under this. Listen, even if it's 2-3 seconds of listening, 10 seconds of listening, it counts for us, for the algorithm. You do 10, 20, 30 seconds of just watching, letting the podcast play with the video component in the background. That counts as views. That's a way that y'all can support for free. Thank y'all so much. Have a great week. Be blessed. All right. Y'all are strong. Y'all can make it. I know it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sometimes. We're going to have rough weeks, but you got somebody here with you. All right. Deuces.